The grand heritage dinner glittered with Muscat's elite. Sheikh Youssef stood beside a draped pedestal, about to unveil his ancestral Khanjar, valued at $300,000. He swept the velvet away. The curved dagger gleamed, silver filigree shining, an 18th century royal piece reacquired at auction.
Waitress, come here. Look at real craftsmanship. You'll never hold such beauty again.
Emma's reflection rippled in the glass as she lifted the Khanjar in gloved hands. She turned it. Blade, hilt, binding, 4 seconds.
The Alcabia pattern is too perfect. The rivets are modern alloy. The filigree, machine stamped. This is a replica. Al-Mamari Workshop, Mutra Souk. 2 years ago.
Prove it, or I'll have you arrested.
The Alcabia binding, mechanically wound. These rivets, modern alloy. The filigree was stamped, not hand-chiseled.
Silence crushed the room. 300 guests stared at a waitress holding a $300,000 dagger and calling it a replica. Emma's steady voice masked a deeper history, one that started long before any gala dinner. She'd grown up in a family of silversmiths. Her grandfather's hands had shaped silver for sultans.
The Alcabia thread, Emma, feel it. Machine work is too regular. True craft brays uneven.
In 2019, the real Khanjar vanished from the National Museum vault. Saif sent the first alert, but the museum needed a sacrifice. They fired Saif, accused him of negligence, erased his decades. Blacklisted and broken, he couldn't find work. His skilled hands, idle. His name, a curse.
Every evening I don't this apron. My wages keep a roof over him.
He rarely left his cramped apartment. Dust gathered on his old tools. The shame had hollowed him out.
He taught me truth. Tonight, I used his eyes. The replica couldn't hide.
And so, when a billionaire demanded proof, Emma carried more than a family secret. She carried a last chance. Youssef gestured sharply. 2 guards moved to seize Emma, but she held up the dagger, her voice steady.
Check the rivets. The alloy is a modern blend. Number 1 8th century smith had it.
Youssef dialed the auction house. Over the speaker, a voice insisted the piece had passed every authentication test.
Authentication doesn't look for stamp marks. This filigree wasn't chiseled, it was pressed.
The auction house swears it's genuine. Why should I believe a waitress?
Because the workshop that made this is in Mutra. I'll take you there, but you'll owe me an apology.
You have 24 hours. Prove it, or I'll have you prosecuted for slander.
Emma set the dagger back on its pedestal, her hands trembling only slightly. The bodyguards stepped aside. Emma walked out into the night, the weight of the next 24 hours in her chest.
Saif will know the markings. His eye is as sharp as mine.
40 minutes later, she slipped into Al-Siraj Cafe. Saif hunched alone in the back booth, and when he saw her face, his shoulders sank.
Please, Emma, walk away. The last time I trusted the system, it chewed me up and spat me into the gutter.
I saw the dagger tonight, Uncle. The rivets were wrong. The filigree was pressed. It's a replica from Al-Mamari. I know it.
She spread photographs across the table. Close-ups of the Alcabia winding, the rivets, the telltale stamp pattern. His thumb, still marked by years of polishing, traced a rivet. The fear on his face gave way to something older, expertise.
Modern alloy. 19th century chemical blend. That shop in Mutra, the Al-Mamari Workshop, used these on the Salala sword copy.
He shuffled to a shelf and returned with a worn folder, the museum's 2019 forensic report. Every original mark, lovingly catalogued by his own hands.
The original had a hairline chip on the 3rd rivet. Yours won't. And the blade's curve was hand-hammered, not ground by machine.
He's risking everything again. For me.
Emma tucked the file into her apron. She would be at the Mutra Souk gates by dawn. 4 seconds of recognition, now backed by a lifetime of truth. At first light, the the Matra souk lay quiet. Only one lantern burned inside the Al-Mamari workshop. Emma pushed the heavy door. An elderly man hunched over a messy bench, tools scattered like fallen teeth.
Who are you? The shop is closed.
2 years ago, you copied a curved Khanjar for a shell company. The alloy rivets prove it.
I have no idea what you are talking about.
Your name is on the chemical order for that modern blend. The police can be here in 10 minutes.
He wiped his forehead. The lie crumbled under the weight of her calm certainty.
A museum woman came. She gave me a sample and cash. No questions. I needed the money.
The receipt. Give it to me now, or the next knock on your door will be Inspector Ahmed.
His trembling hand slid a yellowed paper across the bench. Al-Hikma Trading. A shell company, the first real thread. At the Al-Sharq Hotel, the Khanjar lay across Yusef's desk. He'd been staring at it since dawn.
The forger confirmed it. He made this replica 2 years ago for a museum woman. Here is the receipt.
She placed the tablet before him. On screen, the yellowed receipt bore a company name, Al-Hikma Trading.
Al-Hikma is a front. I've seen that address on museum contracts.
He dialed a private number. Within minutes, a financial trace linked Al-Hikma to the museum's deputy director of acquisitions. The name surfaced, Layla Nasser, the very woman who had fired Saif and buried his report.
Saif al-Habsi was right. The museum buried his report to protect their own.
Then you know what needs to happen. We need Inspector Ahmed and a warrant.
Yusef exhaled. Power had protected the wrong people. For the first time, he reached for the phone to call the police. Outside the window, Muscat blazed with noon sun. Emma's deadline still had hours, but now she had an ally. Inspector Ahmed pulled Saif al-Habsi's 2019 case file from the Dead Archives shelf. He read the original forensic report and the fabricated dismissal that followed.
The metallurgy analysis was removed. This wasn't negligence. It was a cover-up.
At the National Museum, Layla Nasser pressed the phone to her ear. A well-placed contact had told her the file was live again.
That waitress is a disgruntled servant. Her uncle was a menace. We'll handle this. Publish the story.
Within the hour, a news blog ran a headline. Waitress fabricates dagger claim to settle family grudge. Emma's restaurant manager received 3 complaint calls.
They're trying to bury me too.
My board is telling me to distance myself. They want to bury this before it taints my name.
Then let them. But I won't stop. Not this time.
Meanwhile, Inspector Ahmed followed the Al-Hikma money. It led directly to Layla Nasser's personal offshore account. In her office, Layla Nasser watched the first story gain traction. Her public relations machine was oiled and ready, but she didn't know Inspector Ahmed was already drafting the warrant. In his apartment, Saif scrolled through the blog headline. His hand moved to his chest. The phone slipped. He crumpled to the dusty floor. A neighbor called Emma. She abandoned her shift mid-order, apron still tied, and ran through the narrow back alleys of Mutra. Paramedics had him stabilized on a stretcher. Emma knelt, gripping his cold fingers, her apron streaked with sweat and dust.
Please, Binti. Stop this. They destroyed me once. They'll do worse to you.
Every word he spoke twisted inside her. But stopping now meant burying him alive in shame.
At his desk, Inspector Ahmed spread the Al-Hikma files. 4 other national treasures had been replicated and sold. A professional ring. The forensic analysis was irrefutable. The same modern alloy, the same shell company. The judge signed the warrant within the hour. A sealed envelope landed on Ahmed's desk. Search of residence, Nasser, Layla. The raid was authorized.
Her phone buzzed. Yusef's voice was steady. Ahmed has the warrant. Hold on.
She leaned against the windowsill, the city simmering below. Whatever came next, she would see it through. At Layla Nasser's villa, Inspector Ahmed held up the signed warrant. She stood frozen in the marble foyer, her phone dead in her hand. In the master suite, A forensic technician scanned the wall. Behind a gold-framed canvas, a faint seam betrayed a hidden vault. With a soft hiss, the panel slid open. On black silk lay the original Khanjar and 3 other stolen artifacts. Ahmed lifted the dagger gently. Under the beam of his flashlight, the hairline chip on the 3rd rivet was unmistakable.
It's real. Ahmed is holding the original. It's over.
4 seconds of training, a lifetime of disgrace, and now his name is clean. I'll be back, Uncle. They all know now. You were right.
At the villa, Layla Nasser stood at the window, her reflection ghostly against the blue police lights. The evidence van doors slammed shut. The forensics van transmitted high-resolution images back to HQ. Saif's 2019 report was being reopened in real time. Emma sat back, clutching her uncle's hand. The hospital hum faded. Tears carved clean paths through the dust on her cheeks. Layla Nasser was led out in handcuffs, her polished composure finally cracked. Cameras flashed outside like a storm. The morning paper screamed. Waitress uncovers museum scandal. Emma's photo filled the front.
Her phone wouldn't stop. Every channel wanted a piece of her, and all she wanted was silence.
Saif watched the news from his hospital bed. The anchor called his report, the key to the heist. His hand shook.
He pressed the call button. When Emma entered, his voice broke. They read my report. They actually read it.
The museum board voted 8-0 or full reinstatement. The apology letter arrived by courier. The envelope held the museum seal. A single line. The board apologizes and reinstates Mr. Al-Habsi as head of conservation. The next morning, Saif stood before the mirror in his old curator's uniform. Emma had brought it from the closet. He touched the embroidered name.
For years, I couldn't look at myself. Now, I see my brother in my face.
And then, a smile, small and uncertain, crossed his lips. Emma, in the doorway, saw it and wept again. Weeks later, Saif walked out of the hospital, leaning on Emma's arm. The sun felt like a stranger on his skin.
I can't go back there, Emma. Those halls swallowed my soul. I'd rather keep my small corner and my shame.
No, Uncle. They owe you a public apology, not a letter, a stage. People need to see you walk back in.
She marched into the museum boardroom alone, a waitress in her work clothes, still smelling faintly of coffee.
You praised him in closed letters. Now say it publicly. Give Saif al-Habsi a ceremony, with the press and the whole nation watching.
The new director exchanged glances, reluctant nods. A date was penciled. The ceremony would happen. Back in his apartment, Saif hunched over his old workbench. His fingers trembled above a silver Khanjar, a practice piece.
You taught me to read a forgery in 4 seconds. Now you are afraid of truth? Let them see your hands.
He looked at his scarred fingers, then at her. For your father, and for you, I'll do it.
5 days. That was all the time he needed to prepare. Outside the window, Muscat's afternoon sun grew bolder. 2 days before the ceremony, Youssef summoned Emma to his suite. She came straight from her shift, apron dusted with flour.
You exposed a scandal. Take this. 500,000 reals.
I don't want your money. I wanted my uncle's name clean, but if you want to thank me, help the artisans, like my uncle. Fund a guild.
Youssef glanced at his wife's portrait. She'd loved the old crafts. He nodded.
A guild for Omani silversmiths. In Amira's name, I'll provide the building and endowment.
He signed the charter. Emma's hand rested steady beside his, a silversmith's granddaughter.
I'll be a part-time advisor, but I won't stop serving. It keeps me honest.
The Heritage Artisans Guild was born. Dozens of forgotten makers would soon hold their tools again. Walking through the Mutra Souk, Emma's phone chimed confirmation. She smiled, thinking of Saif's hands at peace. The morning of the ceremony, Saif adjusted his uniform cuffs in the museum's back hall. Emma stood beside him, steady and quiet.
Your father would be proud. Now go make him so.
The museum hall filled with press and dignitaries. The new director stepped to the microphone. He read aloud. The board offers its unreserved apology to Mr. Saif Al-Habsi and reinstates him as head of conservation. Saif walked slowly to the podium, his old uniform crisp. The crowd applauded before he spoke a single word.
Thank you. I never imagined I'd stand here again. My niece, Emma, saw what others refused to see. She gave me back my name. I ask only that the original Khanjar be returned to these halls under my care.
The request was met with a standing ovation. Emma, in the wings, covered her mouth with one hand. She had asked for nothing. And now, the world was giving him everything. Months later, the Heritage Artisans Guild opened its doors. Saif stood at the main workbench, surrounded by eager apprentices. Emma arrived after her evening shift, apron still tied, and set a tray of sweet tea on the side table.
You keep serving tea. I keep serving truth. It suits us both.
Yusuf visited the guild once a month. Afterward, they often walked through the Matra souk, speaking more with silence than words. A young apprentice approached, holding a small silver Khanjar pendant. Miss Emma, I made this for you. Emma closed her fingers around the pendant. The weight was slight, but the meaning was heavy.
From this day, I'll never take it off. It's a link to her father's hands.
Saif watched from across the room, a silent smile on his face. His hands, once idle, were now teaching again. In the corner of the guild, beside a photo of her father, the little Khanjar pendant rested against her burgundy apron. The National Museum announced the return of the original Khanjar in a public ceremony. Saif Al-Habsi would place it himself. Saif received the formal request in the guild workshop. He read it twice, then folded the letter with steady hands.
They want me to hold the truth in my hands one more time.
Then you'll do it. I'll be there, even if the cameras terrify me.
An embossed invitation arrived for Emma Al-Habsi, guest of honor. She stared at it over her evening shift.
I never wanted the spotlight, but Saif needs me there.
She pinned the invitation beside her father's photo in the guild. The pendant and paper side by side. The date was circled in red. The world would watch a waitress and a once-forgotten man. Saif spent the final week training his voice, reciting the placement procedure until it became a prayer. She tucked the invitation into her apron, touched the pendant, and walked toward the morning light. The night before the ceremony, Emma climbed the stairs to Saif's apartment. He had set the table for two.
I made your father's favorite, spiced lamb and rice. He'd be proud of the fire you carried.
He always said the secret was patience. I think you taught me that too.
They ate in the comfortable silence of people who had weathered storms together. The city noise softened outside.
You didn't just clear my name, Emma. You lifted the Al-Habsi name from the dirt. Your grandfather's tools can rest.
She looked at the photo on the shelf. That was the real reward. Not headlines, but his peace.
Saif filled 2 small glasses with steeped tea. The clink of glass was their private ceremony.
To your father, to the truth, and to a waitress who saw what museums missed.
Emma drank. The sweetness coated the ache of years. Some wounds, she realized, don't vanish, they transform. Outside, the evening wind stirred the palm fronds. Inside, 2 people ready to face the world sat in grateful silence. The Khanjar arrived in a convoy of protectors. A sealed vitrine wheeled slowly down the marble aisle.
Today we restore more than a dagger. We restore faith in our heritage.
Yusuf gestured toward Saif. The old curator rose, uniform crisp, hands steady.
I have waited 5 years to hold this truth again.
He unlocked the case. The Khanjar lay on silk, its ancient silver breathing in the light. With a prayer murmured, he lowered the dagger into its new glass cradle. The case sealed with a soft hiss. Applause erupted, a wave that shook the chandeliers. In the midst, Emma wept. She clutched the Khanjar pendant, the metal warm against her palm.
4 seconds of truth, a lifetime of honor.
Outside, the sun caught the museum dome, casting long shadows across the courtyard. Inside, a family was whole again. The applause faded. Emma turned into a side corridor, her footsteps echoing toward the conservation lab where Saif once worked. On a shelf beside a worn wooden box, a small framed photo caught the low light. Her father, smiling, she lifted it with both hands.
I'll keep it all alive, Baba. The craft, the name, the truth.
A soft creak behind her. Saif stood in the doorway, his uniform still crisp. Without words, he crossed to her. She turned, and he wrapped his arms around her shoulders. They held each other in the dusty light, the photo pressed between them.
The legacy won't end with him. It will survive through us.
He pulled back, touched her pendant, and nodded. No words were needed. 2 generations of Al-Habsi stood in the place where truth had once been buried. Months later, the guild hummed. Saif guided a young hand over silver, his voice a steady murmur. Emma found a letter on her desk, a directorship offer with her name already printed. She traced the title, then touched the pendant. The pen stayed still. She would stay part-time. The mountains held forgotten traditions, and she wanted to record them. In the souk, a courier handed her an envelope sealed with gold wax. She opened it. An endowment in your name. The guild will continue. Emma smiled. The pendant caught the light. She tucked the note into her apron. From the rooftop, the workshop windows glowed. Saif's silhouette moved inside, teaching. New apprentices carved silver, guided by hands that had once been idle. The offer letter rested unsigned, propped against her father's photo. She had found her own path. The next morning, Emma and Saif walked among the quiet stones. He carried a small silver Khanjar in his palm. He knelt at the headstone. His fingers placed the dagger beside her father's name.
I'll travel to the mountain villages, Uncle. I'll document the traditions before they fade.
Go, Binti. You carry his eyes. Return when the winds change.
I'll bring back new ideas. The guild will grow because of what I find.
They fell silent. The sun lowered, painting the mountains in gold. In the still air, the echo of a silversmith's hammer seemed to ring from the past. Emma touched her pendant, and the weight of years lifted from her chest. They stood until the shadows lengthened. No more words were needed. Above, the stars began to appear. The Al-Habsi legacy, once buried, now shimmered in the dusk. Months later, the guild thrived with new apprentices. Saif's voice guided young hands through silver. Steady, patient, never idle again. Far away, Emma sat cross-legged on a stone balcony in the Khanjar Mountains. A leather journal balanced on her knee. Below, an elder silversmith hammered a pattern older than memory. She sketched every movement, preserving it.
Her mind flickered to the museum ceremony, the applause, the pendant, the weightlifting.
Her phone rang. Saif's name lit the screen.
Emma, look. My student made this replica. The rivets are perfect. The Alcabia thread is hand-wound. He's better than the forger.
Better than the forger. Then my work is done.
They laughed together. Then she ended the call and looked out over the village. She touched the Khanjar pendant. The breeze carried the sound of a distant hammer, and everything felt whole. In the guild, Saif guided a boy's hand across silver. The old hammer sang a rhythm no one had forgotten. Emma walked through the Matra souk, her pendant catching the low sun. Shopkeepers nodded. They knew her name. At the National Museum, visitors paused before the Khanjar. A brass plaque beside it read, Curator Emeritus Saif Al-Habsi. Next to the dagger, under protective glass, rested the yellowed receipt from Al-Mamari, the first thread. On a Muscat rooftop at dawn, Emma stood alone, the sky blushing gold. She touched the pendant once, a silent thank you. The city stretched below, domes, souks, the hum of a nation that knew her name. 4 seconds of truth had unraveled a lie, restored a life, and built a future. In the museum, children pressed their faces to the glass, asking about the curved dagger. A guide smiled and began again, and on the rooftop, as the sun climbed, Emma al-Habsi turned toward the light. The story was written. The craft lived on.